tables. No, I didn't do anything. I didn't do the round tables. I just sat over there and ate burrata cheese. Okay. So this panel is not really about me. As you can see on the screen, we do this every year as part of the community virtual. Are people talking over there? Hello? I'm talking. That wasn't a joke, by the way. I am talking. So this is a fuck up panel. We do this every year virtually, and for me, I built my business on LinkedIn. I work with a lot of agencies internationally, and there's a lot of horse shit on LinkedIn. People on LinkedIn talking about how amazing they are, how fantastic they are. Then I have a phone call with them, and it's all a lie. So the reason I have this fuck up panel is I think it's healthy to hear from other people who are in the same position as you with some of the fuck ups they've gone through, not because they're fuck ups, but it's better to learn from somebody else's mistake than making the mistake yourself. That's what I think. So anyway, I've got 5 people on the panel. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. There's going to be 4 key talking points. I'm just going to guide them like a wizard, and they're going to do all the magic. That's the goal. So Ricardo, do you want to introduce yourself? And then you don't need to clap after every single person. It's a bit intense. Just, yeah. Silent claps.
So I'm Ricardo from Subject Line, and I'm the co-founder and head of acquisition and partnerships. We basically help businesses, e-commerce brands with their growth and retention, especially retention, mainly through Klaviyo. So we help them with email and SMS marketing, but it's not limited to that because the landscape is becoming more and more complex. So we are helping them on a more profound way, helping with subscriptions, loyalty points, loyalty programs, affiliate marketing. So we work basically worldwide, mostly with English-speaking countries. And we started my business partner and I, we started as freelancers. And it was a tough journey before reaching the point where we opened the agency, we shifted our mindset. And here we are today.
Paul?
Hey, I'm Paul Koning. I founded Studio Zerance 8 years ago, which was a pioneer agency in France, Shopify agency. And I sold the agency 2 years ago. It was a long journey. I almost sold the agency for €1 symbolic. Then I almost sold the agency during a Tinder date. And I finally sold it successfully during a karaoke night, so I have a lot of things a lot of learnings from selling an agency, and I'm here to share this tonight.
Hi, I'm Claire Gatenby. I'm co-founder, co-owner at Squash Pixel. We're a Shopify agency, web design agency. We kind of focus on the technical solutions, not just straight design build. We like more complex solutions to implement. I look after the operational side, and I'm going to be talking about how last year I nearly killed our 15-year-old company. So it doesn't matter how old you are, things can still seriously go wrong.
Hi, this is Maria Selma. I'm working as a consultant advisor for the last year and a half almost. And I was working in fashion industry for almost 20 years, including Inditex, Zara.com. For my last 8 years, I was responsible for TharaKids.com, shoes and bags, and I was one of the main members of the team building the whole project of Zara.com. This was one of my main baggages. Also working later, building ecosystems and working as an e-commerce manager for many other brands, fashion, beauty, etc. And 1 year and a half ago, I decided to go by myself. And this has been just a journey. And I will share with you how it's been and all, like, how it's been this adventure and the fucking things I'm just facing.
Nice. Hi, everybody. My name is Adrian. Does it work? No. Now
Might
yes.
need to lift it up a bit.
Yes. There we go. All right. So now you guys can hear me. My name is Adrian. I'm the founder of Tante E, a Shopify agency in Germany. We basically build online stores on Shopify and optimize online stores. That's what we do. We do that since 5.5 years. Before that, I was like around 1 year trying things out and probably like you would call it freelance basis. Our clients or our market generally is German speaking, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland. We're around 27-ish people. It's always like a little bit up and down. That's why I'm not 100% certain, and happy to be here.
Nice. Okay, well, as you probably noticed today, with the flow of lightning talks that we had at the start of the day, we start from sales and then finished with client services. So top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. For the panel, I'm sort of going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with some of the fuck-ups around pipeline and sales, talk about a lot of fuck-ups around people because that part really sucks. Then we're going to talk a little bit around retention, and then finally profitability, getting ready for exit. I don't really remember what I said this morning, but I think I may have mentioned I actually specialize in mergers and acquisitions for agencies. So having Paul here who's gone through that process, finally successfully, but almost failure, is an interesting journey. They actually reached out to me years ago to work with him, and then his business partner was terrified of me and it never happened. So, you know, oh well, it was his loss. So Nathan kicked off today talking about getting lots of leads into the funnel. I think if I brought Martin on the stage, it could be a therapy session because he'd probably burst into tears with how stressful that is for the agency. So what I want to talk about is this feast and famine nature of agency life. Lots of sales, no sales, lots of sales, scaling up and scaling down. So maybe, Adrian, we can start with you at the end and then we'll work through. I'm not going to do a stop-start thing. I'm just going to open it up and then the panel then have a wee chat and then see how we get on. Talking about selling to the wrong client, I always say that not all money is equal. So selling to the wrong clients and using discovery to qualify people out. Adrian and I have been together for nearly 5 years, working together, so I've seen a lot of the chaos.
Yes, that's true. Before coming here, or when we talked also beforehand, it was like strange for me to think about specific cool stories because I feel like or cool stories about fuck-ups, because basically the entire journey was like a journey of fuck-ups, I feel like. It's like one fuck-up, you learn from it, and you move forward. And so at some point, I got like the talent to be blind, to realize it's a fuck-up, but you just focus on like continue running, because anyways, it's like otherwise you would lose energy on the wrong thing. So it's like a little bit in Germany, you say like you don't see the forest because of all the trees. So I feel like kind of I forgot or my brain made me forget all the like the fuck-up stories maybe, but there's many. So in case the stories are not so cool, maybe later tonight at the party, the real cool stories come up because I just forgot otherwise. But yeah, so like one of the learnings definitely is like there's not every client is equal, but like there's good clients and there's bad clients. And we had a lot, especially in the beginning, a lot of bad clients because you see the money and you go for it. And especially in the moments where you need, like your pipeline is empty, you try desperately to get for every client. Usually those clients are the ones sticking longest with you and paying the least because you just like try to get them out of your company again and going so far that like they threaten you to sue you. And so like we had a lot of different cases where we worked with clients and paid everything, paid all the money back and still delivered almost all the work. So that was painful for you from an operations side of things, probably number-wise, like the worst case. So big learning is basically sales for us is not sales, because we hired also, tried to hire a lot of different salespeople and realized, okay, we don't need a sales truck, we don't need to sell, but basically sales for us is like qualifying, and kind of like a bouncer at a club. We need to make sure who's actually like our target audience and which we want to let in, and make sure that like we let in the right people, and basically make sure to say no to the wrong ones. Because like in the beginning we said yes to everything and realized that's like the worst idea ever, and so sales for us is more like a qualification of like wrong clients, and we're getting better and better to say no, still on the way, like a process.
And when you take on too many as well, the feast or famine concept comes in. If things start going really successfully, you're winning all the work, you don't have the infrastructure in place. We learned that quite a few times over the years. We tried to grow organically. We've had no investment. We've had, we're a husband and wife team. I know everyone's quite shocked when I say that. We've met at work. are still together 20 years on. I know that's an even bigger shocker. He is in the room, so I have to say that. But we didn't have the investment to suddenly hire loads of staff to sort of run those projects when we started getting successful. So we tried to do it organically. So then you're always chasing, okay, right, do we go for those bigger projects to get the money in to then invest in building the company? Do we outsource those sort of issues? And I know that you have that experience with the outsourcing side, which I'm really keen to hear about because we've fucked up a lot on the outsourcing side.
That's it. Also is happening to me right now. In my case, I didn't go up and down. I'm going up all the time. Lucky of me. But we are in a moment, in an area right now. I'm also Shopify partner, and with Shopify, we have so many opportunities right now. Many e-commerces are migrating. Shopify is growing up so much, and all the partners, we are so lucky. We have so much work. I also build ecosystems with Shopify. So, and the team is just pushing me so much and just giving me so much support to build my own business. So I'm in this moment in which balance all this work I'm having to provide a good quality service to the customers. Also to sleep and to have time for sleeping. I didn't have holidays this year. Look, my eyes. No, but really, this is so hard. Adrian was saying it also. It's so hard to balance your private life with so much work and balance how many people do you need in your team to help you and also to have profit in your own business. But for me, besides this, because we are getting so serious, I have to say that my worst experience and what I'm learning so much in this almost 2 years is that sometimes when you go, when you meet your customer, they don't see you, they don't see Maria Selma, they see Harry Potter, okay? They think you are gonna do magic. So you come just to the business and the company, and they just go and they ask you to do things with low investment, low resources, many KPIs in which it's impossible to make all the team to work on those because the daily life is just consuming them. So it is so important for me, and what I'm learning, and I'm so serious with this, is when I go to meet a customer and start a new project, I am so clear with the KPIs, the investment, the resources I'm going to get from the company to work on that, the resources that we are going to put together to build the KPIs and to get the KPIs. And for me, this is the main thing, to be so serious and not to be blind with the new project or the profit or the earnings I'm going to get. It's so important to be clear, to be so serious, and not to give expectations that are impossible to get.
I have a funny fuck-up about the amount, the charge of work. A few years ago, we signed too many clients, like really too many clients, and we should just tell the clients we'll be late with the project will be delayed for 2 months or 3 months. But there is this project manager who told me, anyway, 80% of the projects are late because of the clients. So we shouldn't tell them, and we will just apologize for the 20% of the clients who are on time. So I listened to her, we tried, we test and learn, And the 20% of the clients who were on time caused us so much problems then that we decided to not do it again. So if you want one day to do it, you shouldn't, by learning.
Actually, coming back to what Adrian mentioned, I loved what you mentioned about our journey, because I feel it's probably most of people's journey is made just fuck up after fuck up after fuck up. It's just a different level. In our case, because I come from a family where no one has a previous entrepreneurial experience or anything like that. Same for my business partner. So it was like we'll have to literally learn everything by doing, by getting burned, by learning and overcome every obstacle. One of these obstacles, especially when we got started, when we were freelancers, was we were taking on everyone. Like every single person that we were able to close, we closed them. And this is what taught us the most about pre-qualifying clients, about also the variables to use in order to qualify them, because this is very important as well. You cannot ask them 100,000 questions, but the right ones that help to better understand their profile. And this led us to completely change also our model, which relied more on, it was more on a project basis and then shifted toward a retainer basis. To do so, you have to have good people to work with, both in the team and as clients. So gaining this experience is allowing us today to close bigger deals with bigger clients and avoid all of these headaches with these people, because there is this unwritten rule that works for everyone, which the less they pay, the more they want you involved to be there, like you are their slave, your soul is theirs. It's how it works. So we have to avoid to go with the wrong clients, but I do also think that there is an opportunity in here, developing the right services or better productized services to serve these specific, maybe not good fits for, let's say for us, for a done for you. But maybe there is still market, because we have talked today many times about market qualified leads, how to get more leads. We are paying for those leads. So let's say if we close 30% on average, what about the other 7 people? They are not good fit, but what if we are able to sell them something and to maybe put a first foot in the door, and then maybe some of them, they are not a good fit because of their culture, because of their ego, because of their personality as an owner or as a CMO. But some others, they're maybe just not in target because of their revenue, because of where they are at in their life cycle. So wrong or possibly wrong clients, at least for us, they still represent an opportunity if we know how to deal with them in a way that is not so that doesn't involve too much time and effort. So, and this is something that is
Tanti, you guys built out, productized for the smaller brands that come through. They have a out-of-the-box theme setup type solution, and that's worked really well. I know, like what Nathan said earlier today, having a network of partners, because just because it's not a good lead for me, it doesn't mean it's not a good lead for somebody else. When I started this business, I was doing largely fractional COO stuff. I don't have time for ops stuff anymore, but Tiara's ready, and she's hungry, and she wants to get stuck in and tear people apart. I'm kind of like, well, I want to tear people apart, but not in the same way that she does. So there's always people that you can feed that are around you, and you just need to find and build that network. So I agree, there's some people that just suck, and they're just shit clients, and you just didn't refer them to anyone. So on that topic, I'm going to move on to the next one, is people. I would say I have consulted with thousands of agencies over the last nearly 6 years in the role that I have in the company I have now. Probably the biggest headache that I see at almost every agency of every scale is people. It is the worst part of business. The actual building the websites would be easy if it wasn't for all of the people involved. So like Matt said, if we just bring in the robots, it would be so much easier. There would be no love and no cuddles and no chaos, but it would be easier. So Claire, you touched
Yeah.
earlier on the massive meltdown that nearly
Yeah,
destroyed.
we talked about the feast. We experienced a bit of a famine last year, but we started with a very heavy feast. I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I'm a project manager. I like process, I like structure, but I've found myself running a business and having to have an entrepreneur head. And we therefore have never really taken big risks with our company over the years. We've never had aspirations to be, the next biggest agency. We don't want to take over the world. We just want a nice, profitable agency. We have a nice lifestyle. But last year, we started winning, and winning bigger clients than we'd really ever targeted. And we were winning everything. We were even trying to price ourselves out of the projects because we didn't want more people, because, like Rach says, the people are the hard bit. But I made the decision. I'll take it. I own it. I made the decision to say, right, fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's go for all these clients. We were turning a lot into big retainers. We managed to get a couple of very large retainers on board. So I was like, we've got that cash flow. We can do this. So I decided to go for a hiring strategy and roles that we'd never really brought into the business before, that I didn't have experience with. If you can believe it, we've never marketed ourselves in 15 years. I thought it'd be a great time to start, bring in a brand manager, know nothing about. All these type of things have a very high cost, as you can imagine. Salaries in the UK were climbing last year, generally. So our wage bill was going up and up. Again, I was like, no, we've got these retainers in place, things are good. And then, end of summer, August, things weren't so good. Everything started slowing down for me. Well, I've spoken to a few people in the UK. People started getting a bit tighter with their money, taking a lot longer to make decisions. They were still going ahead, but the conversion process, the sales process was so much longer. So I found myself, we pretty much doubled in size last year, but within about 9 months, I had to backtrack because we were at the point where we had one client who, out of the blue, got bought out. They were one of our biggest retainers. So our nice cash flow that was going to cover for all these nice new people we had suddenly was going. And suddenly people weren't buying as quick from us. And it just changed overnight. So I had to backtrack. And there was a lot of very hard decisions had to be made. I owned it. It's the biggest lesson learned I've ever done. And my biggest advice would be what we didn't do. We didn't look at the efficiencies in our company. We didn't think, right, are we actually at full capacity in this team? They're telling me we can't take any more work, but actually, am I getting the most out of this team? And I mean across all teams. And if we'd taken a step back, slowed down, not just looked at the pennies coming in and thought, right, we wouldn't have hired probably half the amount of people, and we would have focused down on the people we had. And it would have saved a pretty emotional, painful journey that after 15 years I thought I wouldn't be going through, because staff come and go. They do. It's the reality of running an agency. But it kind of opened my eyes, and, it's not a fuck up unless you don't learn from it. And, we've learned from that this year. I have, and I will never do that again. So if you are a small agency starting to get going and you are just chasing every sale and you feel like you're kind of getting to that full capacity point, stop and really think, are your team working at full capacity? Can you get more out of them? Is there a better way to restructure them? Can you get more if you move someone into a certain different department before you start hiring more? Because especially in the UK, once you start hiring, getting rid of people is more problematic once you get past a certain stage. So, and it's a longer-term problem. So, and I don't know if you guys have
shared that experience over your... It's interesting. You said, okay, after 15 years, you thought you have seen all, right? But somehow it always...
I'm invincible.
I also thought, now after 4 years being in the game, I achieved a point where I could leave the office at 6:30, had my private life, my hobbies, and so on. I felt okay, that's now I handled it, I got it, and we went we were so confident, going into the next year, planning. Okay, what do we need? Let's forecast, let's plan. We have right now 4 account managers are basically our project managers for retainers. And so we thought, okay, if we want a certain steady growth, then probably we calculated, okay, we need probably 2 more account managers. So we should grow to 6. So we planned, we recruited, we learned from last time, okay, we need more experienced people, not knowing what experience really means, because like our way we do agency life is very different. So we thought, okay, we hire more experienced people, recruit 2 new people. So like the goal was basically by September, so this month, be at like six project managers. Actually, like the plan turned out very different. We were down to 2 because like the 2 we recruited were like not good at all. We realized with both of them basically that they're not the ideal fit. We didn't want to believe it. So like 1 we hold until like basically this month. So like 6-7 months we tried, like we thought, okay, we're optimistic, we'll get them up to speed. And because like I was also in my head, I was like, fuck, if we let go of this person, then we have it down to 2. Then we have to recruit somebody new. It takes like 4 to 6 months to get somebody going again. So like, let's stick and stick. So basically, with open eyes, we went like down the path instead of like cutting already like the earliest moment where we had the bad gut feeling.
And I think that's kind of why we're still here. Just a positive note, we're going back up, just so in case you're worried about Squash Pixel. But yeah, if there was a lesson learned many years ago, we hired the wrong people. Again, it always comes down to the people. And holding on to them for too long, you know, being too nice and thinking they'll get better. That lesson came in at that stage last year because it was hard. I had to be ruthless, but I had, for the sake of saving the business and everyone else that was retained in the business, I had to make that decision quick and get rid of the people that I'd hired for these larger retainers. I think I'd also say spreading the retainers as well. I know, Rach, you bang on about retainers all the time. I think you were talking in 2018. I think we started talking about retainers. Just having a few big pots, especially when you're getting going, a lot of smaller ones, they will grow. You do the job right, you will grow those into larger retainers, you will. Going for the really big ones straight away, if you don't have that infrastructure, can be more damaging to you than trying to go slower and getting those smaller ones in place. Because if you lose one small one out of 15, it's not going to impact the running of your business. You have 2 or 3 large retainers that you rely on. One goes, and then you have to make serious resourcing decisions.
And then regarding recruiting, what we learned basically the hard way was to get really straight on what is actually the job role, what are like the fundamentals of that role, and what are the nice to haves. We were like blended by like the shiny objects, like a person really confident, really like good in communication and so on. But the thing is, what we forgot is, okay, a project manager in the end is a person who has an overview, has like a skill set of like structuring and knowing and attention to detail. At least in our case, it's like the person who keeps an eye on everything, structures the client, structures himself or herself. And then on top of that, if the person can like communicate, this is a nice to have. This is like then a mid-level or senior level person communicating and all these different other things. So we didn't have clear what the priorities are. And like now we know, okay, if the fundamentals are not there, and like in the recruiting process, we check first for like the structureness, the attention to detail, for all those like boring skills kind of. But like it's so important because if you don't have this right, then like it doesn't matter if you can communicate, because like at some point you can communicate the first error, the second error, things like that person fucked up. You can communicate to some extent, but at some point you're out of excuses basically, right? So getting the job role right and like what actually like you really need and what are like the shiny objects that like sometimes distract you was like one big learning we had.
And look at what you can do internally as well. So I don't know why, but we thought we had to get an external person in to look at our brand. We know our brand the best. No one knows us and what we're wanting to achieve, but you think because someone has a CV that says they can do this, they can do it better than you. They can't, actually, and that was the biggest role, I would suggest when you're getting started as a smaller agency, do it yourself. Don't only go to that level when you need to. You know, push your sales and marketing as far as you can with your skills, but you learn how to do it. Don't hire someone in at that stage, because that was a massive cost for the business that actually, in hindsight, I should never have hired for that. I'm involved in that now. I know I can do it, so I could have done it then. So,
just to complete, it's just to add something to what you said. We remarked that something very underestimated during your hiring process. It's about the energy. For example, we are doing weekly, like everyone here, I think, we are doing weekly review to review all the projects of the agency. And the energy of the key peoples, like the project directors and the CEO, will affect a lot the team. And for the same load of work, charge of work, it can be very destructive in one way if I'm in a bad mood, and very positive in the other way. So it's a small hack. We shouldn't underestimate how our mood is important for the team.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say one thing I would add, because I'm dealing with agencies, I know a lot of boring statistics, but one of the things that you said, Claire, which I think is a really important point, is client concentration. So if you're running an agency, you should not have one retainer client that contributes more than 15% of your total recurring revenue. So if you're doing 100K a month, if one client gives you 20K, it's risky. So you have to keep it below the 15%. And the reason for that is, if a couple of those big ones drop off, you are fucked. And I worked with an agency, I still work with them. They're a big email marketing agency. And he said, I don't know what the fuck is going on with our P&L. Things are crazy. I went through and audited the business. And I'm like, are you hiring for contracts or projected pipeline? And he was hiring according to his projections that he had set at the start of the year. And he hadn't hit a single goal month on month on month, but still kept hiring. And it cost him nearly $500,000. So that is like a very expensive mistake to make. And it took him a year to get back on top. So it's something that it sounds obvious, but so many people make it, because when you're in it and all of the food is coming, all of the stuff is coming to the pipeline, you're like, fuck it, this person's great, we've got money, let's go. And it will bite you on the ass real quick.
100%.
I don't have the problem of firing people quickly. I think we've already established that violence is not a concern for me. But I would say, I know it's cliched, but take your time to hire key roles. As soon as something smells off, it's just like a piece of fish in the fridge. When it smells weird, it's going in the bin. It's the same with a team member. If something just isn't right, get rid of them. I know that sounds really harsh, but it is 10 times out of 10, it's the right thing to do. And if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit, and they'll find someone better. It's just like dating, I suppose. I wouldn't know anymore, it's been so long. So, getting to the end now, I want to talk a little bit about retention. I talked quite a bit about it, the miscommunication, project fuck-ups. Something that I think we're all guilty of, myself included sometimes, is overlooking your existing clients. Nathan, I know that you're obsessed, as you said in your presentation, your words, not mine, obsessed with sales and pipeline. But if you're not I always say, looking at what's coming in the front door, if you're not looking at what's going out the back door, it will kill your business. I ran a signage company years ago, and we won the biggest contract in Ireland, in Irish history ever. And within 12 months, we went into liquidation, because even though it was the biggest contract, we weren't looking at how much money we were spending to fulfill that contract, and it basically killed the company. And I see agencies going through the same thing. So I don't know who wants to start, but some of the fuck-ups around not taking care of your existing clients and losing them?
I mean, I'm on a roll, so I might as well go for it. Combined last year was a pretty epic year, to be honest. The nerves were a bit shot. Combined with all of what was going on, while we were going through that, we lost sight of our existing clients because we've been around for a while. Some of our clients have been with us 10 years, 10 plus years. You just take them for granted. And there was an element of complacency that crept into the agency. And you just assume they're always going to be there. We don't have to give them attention while we're dealing with all this shit over here. They're just going to stay happy. They don't. They still need you. They need you to be doing the services, generating them what they need. And so we had a lot of, luckily we have such loyal customers. Those customers stayed with us and continue to stay with us. But we had to put so much more effort into them post the kind of epic Armageddon that was last year, just to reassure them that we still love them, they are a priority for us. So complacency, yeah, it is another killer, absolute killer. And I think it is a hard one not to fall into, especially when you start having so many longer term retainers. You just get into a bit more of a flow and it's kind of just business as usual. But to keep giving the love back to those original people who are, you're where you are because of them. And you know it, they know it, and there is that loyalty. So I think it's really important not to forget that.
Yeah, I think, Maria, you talked about earlier having to educate clients, setting boundaries and educating them properly on what the process is.
And not only that, when I start to work with a customer, with a client, what I do is to analyze very well what is the structure of management and the decision taken, and which people is the people who is really influencing the decisions. This is so important. I did a horrible mistake, and I just, in one project, we had an assistant of the management. I didn't realize how much power she had, and I realized it in time. Lucky of me. But from that point, what I do is always to ask what is the structure of management, who is taking the decisions in each area. It's not the same in design or in integrations, etc. So this is so important for me in the way when you are gonna collaborate and you are gonna influence people to do the best investment, to do the best work, and to build the best ecosystem. So this is like the main theme for me. And I don't know what you say. What you asked me also.
Yeah, I said about having to
Right.
educate the clients to set the boundaries.
It's so important. The main thing when I start a project, I make a business plan. It takes me so much to make this business plan. It's so hard because I make so much effort from the first time, but everything is so clear. The KPIs, the investment, the numbers, the resources, the amount of hours I'm gonna take from the team to work with me. And also one more thing, I'm gonna tell you just one tip I have learned lately. When you are I don't think it matters if you are a little agency like me or if you are a big agency. If the client is not providing about the tools, about the information, and everything you need to do the project, you are losing your time and your money, okay? This is so important. So right now, I'm thinking about to just make a note in the contract to say that delays, not providing about the information, not having the team working with me, or the resources we have agreed, this is going to be in a penalization of or an increase of the cost of the project, because this means that my time and the project is going to have a delay, and the delays for me are a lack of money and also profit and so on. So this is so important to just make this big business plan, then to put together all the team, to have an agile management tool, and to work all together all the time, and to educate. Mostly here in Spain, not many people and not many companies know about e-commerce or digital strategy, so you have to make this effort also, like educating the teams, and normally they are grateful and thankful for that. And
I would say, honestly, from my experience, the problem is with the agency, not the client. People say you get good clients and bad clients. I think it's good agencies and bad agencies, because every client can be a shit agency with the wrong person, and every every client can be good with the right agency. It's about understanding what your expectations and rules of engagement are and communicating effectively. Adrian and I have been together since, what, 2019, 2020, something
Long
like that?
time.
A lot, yeah. Adrian's actually only 21, but he's just been nearly 5 years with me. And the first event I ever did, we had 4 people. There was only 4 people at it, and now we've been at events with hundreds of people. My business has changed drastically over the last almost 5 years, but I've always consulted. Actually, the round tables that we had here is because of constructive feedback from Adrian, which he's always very generous with. But I've consulted with my agencies and I've asked them what they're looking for, and I've pivoted and adapted according to what I want, but that fits within their requirements. You're going to have casualties, but fuck it, it's part of business. You're going to lose, so you're going to outgrow clients, they're going to outgrow you. It's just part of the process. So last but not least, just to close out the last 5 minutes or so, I want to talk about Tiara's favorite topic, profitability. Profitability when it comes to scaling, whether you're scaling to exit or scaling to scale and grow, the process is more or less the same. I mean, the ultimate metric is profit. We've had experiences of building products for clients based on what they wanted and then having to scrap the whole thing. So that was a very costly, painful 2.5 year process, maybe, with Klaviyo. No, it's not Klaviyo's fault, relax. It's not a Klaviyo problem.
I mean, yeah, so I didn't mention it in the beginning, but like we were like one of the early users or one of the first partners, I think, in Germany for Klaviyo. I actually helped them to translate it to German, the sign-up forms and so on, which were like all the time like English. And then we put like in place something of like, sorry, it's a maintenance issue, because like Germans saw it in English, and usually like if it's something is not in German, it's like you cannot trust it. So we thought, okay, but Klaviyo, the tool is like so good. And I was so convinced of like the automations back then in the days, even though it was not made for the German market, I just put like a maintenance issue error, because I hope that like people only sign up once, and so they see it only once and see, I think it's actually like a maintenance error, or like the IT is working on it. Didn't know that it's like going on for like 2 years, I think, until then the translation came in. But so since then I was a big fan of Klaviyo. I loved it myself. I saw the effect, because you can really see how much money it brings in, and so it's like easy to charge. If you bring like value, people get money. It's like easy to charge and bill, right? So, but the problem we had was like finding the right people. And so since I was like so fan of the tool, I was like forcing people basically from my team to do email marketing, and basically overheard that they didn't want to fill out the role, because I was like, no, but it's amazing, right? And they were like, yeah. But I was like, yeah, so like this is what you do, this is what you do, and this is like how it works. And so this went on for like 2.5 years, 3 years.
I was also
You were pushing me as well, actually.
I was pushing.
At some point, I lost like my motivation, and Rachel was
said
like, no. Like,
I was like a dog with a bone. I was like, Adrian, keep going.
Well, and here we are. Now we don't have it anymore. So learning from that is not always listen to Rachel.
Well, that's false. Don't listen to that. That's a lie. That's another fuck up, Adrian.
So yeah, so we tried a lot. Like I had like different people trying to fulfill the role, and in the end, it didn't work out. We had to unfortunately close down the thing. And sometimes it's also like I tried everything, and sometimes
offload it to a strategic partner.
Right. This is the nice way to frame it.
Yeah.
So it feels like a loss.
Someone else's blessing.
It feels like a loss. Yeah, we learned like to focus and be maybe sometimes simpler in the product offering, and know partners where to give it over to. This is also sometimes the reality, right? You try your best, but at some point you can also not ignore basically the reality.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think then, Paul, for you, I think just to close things out, there's a lot of agencies that I speak to that are looking to exit at some stage. I had one agency, it's technically not my fuck up, so we'll just put it out there, it's not my fuck up. I had one agency that in 2 years we scaled it to about 250K a month, more or less. It was performance marketing, and within 2 years we then sold it for 3.2 million. Last minute they changed the contract, didn't send it to a lawyer, and when we looked at the contract after it had been signed, there was small print in there said that if you didn't sell 3 million worth of new business in the next 6 months, your 3.2 valuation goes down to 800K. And it was signed. And we basically handed over 250K, so whatever it is, 3 million a year in contracts, handed it over to somebody for 800K. I own 20% of that, so that was a very painful lesson for me as well financially. Not that I ever saw anything. I didn't actually see that 20%. That's another fuck up on my part. So these things happen all the time. If you're in the M&A space, whether you're looking to merge with another company, get acquired, whatever that process looks like, there is a lot of sharks in the water. And if you're going to go through that process, of course, give me a call or speak to other people that have gone through it, because there is so much learnings, it's so much opportunity to fuck up than it is to make a success. I know that you almost crashed and burned a number of times.
Yeah, I had a lot of.
Or you landed the plane.
And yeah, just to give you a bit of context about this, it was 4 years ago. We were in 2020. my company, the agency, was at its best. Like COVID accelerated a lot. Shopify market in France, it was booming, and we were 25 in the company, doing like 2 million of revenue, and everything was good actually. And something I didn't see is that my two associates were very bold, what can be common in agency work, which can be a bit repetitive. And at this time, the NFT train hit the world, and my first associate decided to fully switch on NFT project. And after 1 month, he switched full-time on it. And my second associate decided to hire a team of 5 Avengers in their bedroom, playing video games to create an esports team, and he switched full-time on it. And in 2 months, I went from everything is good to everything is chaos in my life. I started to hate my day-to-day life, and I looked for an exit. And at this time, a colleague who have a slightly smaller agency in France came to me and said, listen, I will buy your agency, I will get your clients, continue their projects, I will get your team, and you will have the cash on your account in 1 month, and you can just jump off to another project. And I was like, yes, what a lifesaver, thank you, let's do it. And thanks God, the proposal was so low that I can't even accept it. It was almost 1 symbolic euro. And the first learning I had is that you have to keep the control of the timeline, because there are a lot of events that can make you sell your agency in emergency. For example, a crisis, board associates, pandemic, etc. So you need to keep the control of the timeline. It's very important. You need to anticipate a lot. Do we have time for another learning?
Go for it.
Okay, let's do it. Few weeks later, few months later, so I came back to my business, and a few months later, I took an advisor. I've done a selling deck. I knew how much was the value, and I started to talk with a lot of big agencies, and one of them made me a proposal that was very hard to accept. So I almost accepted, but just before, the founder invited me to dinner. And for me, it was like a $1 million Tinder date. And the guy arrived, and he was in a full suit and tie, and it was the first red flag. Like, it's way too formal. Look, I'm a developer, I'm in a white T-shirt. And then he started to expose me his vision of e-commerce, etc. And I was like, whoa, amazing guy. I want to work with this guy. But I felt like when I was saying something, he was saying the exact opposite. And I understood that he don't want me to be his associate, he wanted me to be like his puppet and just say what he wants and do what he wants. And so I left the dinner. I just sent him a classical post-date message like, thank you, it was very interesting, we'll keep in touch. But I knew I knew we had not the same culture. And a few weeks later, I went to a Shopify night in a karaoke, and after the Shopify night, I was singing Rap God from Eminem in the karaoke, which is pretty technical. And there is this guy who stand up and start to sing with me, and then we had a lot of drink together, and we had a lot of passionate discussion. And the next day, I woke up and say, okay, he's the one. And this guy was Xavier Poitot, the boss of Axom, the agency who bought me then. And I knew, I felt, and then I went to the office and I felt a very similar spirit in his team. And I knew it would be very easy to merge the team, to merge the process, etc. And this is my third learning, is that culture is the key. And having the same culture will make the success of the merge. It will make everything very much easier. And at the opposite, the different company culture can just totally kill can be totally destructive for both teams. And last but not least, so he made me the proposal, and I started to discuss with the lawyer, with the financial team, etc. And it should last 2 months. It lasts 6 months. And during those 6 months, I spend more time to discuss with the lawyers, to do some projections, business plans, strategic plan, etc., than to work on my business. And my growing curve start to flatten. And luckily, we signed, but if we don't, my company value, the agency value would be divided by 2, and it would be a total catastrophe. So my last learning, and the most important, is continue focus on your business, even if do this project is a bit more exciting.
It's like being in a relationship. Just because you meet somebody, it doesn't mean you stop dieting and go to the gym. Like, you're still going to have to maintain yourself, even if you have a new relationship. So that's it. I know we're running over slightly, but it's because you were all late this morning, so it's not my fault, just so everybody's clear. We've got 2 final bits. I'm going to hand over. First thing, thank you to the panel. A big thank you. Yeah. Don't throw it. I'm a better thrower than a catcher. Okay. So thank you to the panel. We'll leave the chairs here. I'm going to hand over to the final MCs at the end of the day. They're going to introduce the 2 final people. We have about 25, 30 minutes left, and then we're done. So thanks, guys. Leave the chairs.
Thank you.